Welcome to Craft and Crashouts with your co-hosts Mick and Ari. We are both writers trying to become traditionally published, and on this podcast, we meet every week to discuss craft, progress, and what we are currently crashing out about. What? It's October? It's almost Halloween?
Oh my God. I was filming, I just filmed a little clip for YouTube. I think I'm just going to make a fat vlog in 3 months or something of just 6 months of writing basically. But I just filmed a clip. I sat down. I was like, hi, good morning. It's September 27th. And then I was like, just kidding. I know what month it is. It is October.
It's October. Are you doing anything for Halloween? Anything fun for spooky season?
I don't think so. Me and my husband watched Weapons, that new horror film. So we watched Barbarians by him 1 or 2 years ago. I can't remember. I'm not a horror film person, but he's very good. They're good stories. And I did wake up in the middle of the night, just with visuals from that film. And I was like, oh, spooky. So that is me celebrating Halloween, is just watching a horror movie and then just being spooked.
Yeah, I find it interesting because I don't understand my own brain. Hate horror. I mean, I really don't understand my own brain. I don't think anyone does. I hate horror films. I still remember vividly that there was a guy I was dating years ago now because I'm married, so this is not my husband. And he forced me to watch The Conjuring. I felt trapped into watching The Conjuring because
there's nothing worse than being trapped in watching a horror movie.
I was like, this is not fun. This is horrifying for me. It was not a fun time. I still remember even in high school around spooky time, all my friends would be like, oh, let's watch, because all the paranormal activities. Is that going to age me?
No,
Whatever.
I saw that in high school too.
Yeah, they were coming out in high school. We're the same age. Just so you guys know, me and Ari are basically the same age. Thing. So yeah, all the paranormal activities were coming out in high school. And I remember also being forced to watch those. And so what I did instead, I literally remember one time, I think it was Paranormal Activity 2, I laid down and I looked at the wall. I was
in a theater?
No, it was in my friend's basement. I just was like, you cannot force me to watch this. But I was having a sleepover. And so I couldn't leave. And I didn't want to be seen as that much of a wimp. So I stayed and I listened. But there's something about a horror movie versus a book. Whereas with books, which you'll see what I'm reading this week, I'm fine with horror elements. I don't know what it is. I think my imagination's already crazy. You don't need to show me. You don't need to show me. I don't need the visuals.
No, and Paranormal Activity, I think it's the documentary nature of it. It just gets in your bones in this way. But I'm just picturing you huddled in a little corner, dissociating, and I'm just like, oh, poor baby Nick.
That is me. I love spooky season, but I like spooky, not scary. I'm Halloween Town, Casper,
Hocus
Nancy
Pocus.
Drew, Hocus Pocus, Scooby-Doo,
Scooby-Doo.
That's my wavelength.
I'm with you. My husband was just it's supposed to be really good. And I'm always down. If it's a good story, if it's done well, I am on board. And there were a few moments where I literally was I screeched because I was there's a couple jump scares. But the end, I was cackling with laughter. That's how you know it's a good movie, is there's just this range of emotion.
Yeah, but
you're just shitting your pants, terrified, and then you're just laughing, and you're just oh, this was a journey. This was worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's where what you said, a good story is where I have to be captivated by horror. I don't like scary for scary's sake. That's why I don't love gore or jump scares, the gratuitousness of that. I want more of an emotional horror. So that's why The Haunting of Hill House and was Bly Manor. I did watch those and they are terrifying, but it's the deeper story that is so good. That's
Yeah.
what keeps me into horror, but, like, come on, Paranormal Activity, that's not deep. That's like,
No,
"Hey,
that
did you ever wanna know what it would be like if your house was haunted by a demon?" And I'd be like, "No, actually, I don't." And there's no emotional or psychological connection, it's just like, "Hey, here's some film of your husband, like, levitating above you." Like, "No, thank you. No, thank you."
yeah, I'm with you. I feel like Weapons was like there were a couple jump scares, but like it was not as horror like terrifying as like Barbarians was or like Paranormal. Like it was like a very good story. So I feel like I would recommend it. Anyway, I'm so sorry we went off on this tangent. Are you doing anything for Halloween?
Yes, actually, so Halloween is actually a big holiday in my family. We we I don't live there anymore. My parents live on a very big street for Halloween in my town. Like, every single person on the street has crazy decorations, and by crazy decorations, I mean, like, there is a house who she, like, shoots candy out of a cannon and does fire-breathing tricks on the street. I'm not kidding you.
Wait, that's actually so much fun.
It's epic, it's epic. So, I usually invite, like, all my friends and family to my parents' house, and this year we saw Stranger Things on Broadway,
Right. Yeah.
and
Hmm.
we love Stranger Things. My parents are '80s babies. Not baby, they were in high school in the '80s, so my parents are
But like the most
obsessed with
like,
the '80s.
you know,
Yes.
forming of years were in the 80s.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
I'm with you.
so they love Stranger Things as well, and I was like, "Let's do Stranger Things." So we went all out. We did stuff for season 1 Stranger Things, so I don't know if you've seen Stranger Things, but
Yeah, I love Stranger Things.
so we did, like, the wall with, like, the lights, the iconic A through Z string light wall.
Love it.
I'll show you photos after this.
Okay.
Maybe if I have photos, I'll put it up on the screen for people, because you guys will be listening to this way after Halloween, but we celebrate spooky season all year round, it's fine.
That's true.
We did, like, Camp Byers, so, like, the his little hut in the woods that he, like, made out of sticks. We
Oh
made
my
that.
gosh. Like in the backyard?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, in, like, their yard or the woods, like, yeah, so we have
That's so
Camp
cute.
Byers, we have the wall, and then my brother is really smart with tech, and he rigged the light wall so that, like, all the lights flash and then just the run appears. And then we
That's
have
sick.
Yeah, and then we're creating, like, a living room scene in the front yard, so there'll be all these end tables, and we collected all these lamps, and so my brother also rigged them to, like, flash, like how they do in season 1 when she's, like, trying to converse with Will, and then they
Hmm.
have a really tiny tree, I forget what type of tree it is, but it's, like, a tiny tree in their front yard, but we made, like, a big trunk for it to do, like, the gate, 'cause Nancy and Jonathan, like, go through the
Hmm.
upside down through the tree gate. And then we bought a snow machine and a fog machine. So we're gonna have the like particles falling for like the upside
My
down.
God.
And the last thing, we have like a ton of like little stuff. So we'll have like Eggo waffle boxes, bikes, flashlights on, like in the yard. My dad made like a cutout of the Stranger Things logo that will glow red. And then I'm
This is
creating,
so creative. Like,
telling
I
you, it's
love
insane.
this. This
And then
is
I'm creating an
incredible.
audio backtrack. So we're gonna have like the Stranger Things theme, but we're gonna have like all the iconic sounds from season 1 playing. And actually today, after this, I have to print out the Barb missing posters that I'm putting all over the street today to
Stop.
tease what we're doing for Halloween. So when I say Halloween's a big deal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're,
I mean,
yeah,
this is like
big deal.
a lot of effort, I'm sure.
Yes. My dad's really handy, so he's, like, building everything, my brother's doing the tech. I'm there for, like, support. I'm there for vision. I'm there for
I
art
love it.
direction.
Yeah, you are our director, Mick. I love it. I need photos. I also feel like you should
Absolutely.
send this to like Netflix and
Yeah,
just be
that'd be
like, "Hey,
fun.
like look what we've done." Like
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah, it should be fun. We wanna do a different season every year, so, like, we eased in with season 1 this year, and then we'll do season 2 next year, and then so we have, like, at least 5 years of Stranger Things now before we have to think of another theme.
I love it. Oh my God, incredible. I'm so excited to see photos.
Yes. What so you're not doing anything? Any spooky movie then picked out?
I don't know.
Think you should pick a good spooky
I
movie
think I
to
need to
watch.
watch Over the Garden Wall and Hocus Pocus, and then, like, I think I'll be good. Like,
I
those
think
are
so
my
too.
2 yearly, like,
Yes,
rewatches.
and get
And
like a
Halloween Town.
treat, you know?
Oh my God. So I've been obsessed with these ice cream. Like, I have this, like, local ice cream place that's incredible, and they have these, like, spooky flavors, and so maybe what we'll do is we'll watch Hocus Pocus, and they have this, like, it's pumpkin Oreo flavored ice cream.
My God.
So good. And then I get it with this other flavor called Graham Central Station, which is like my current hyperfixation. And it's basically just like a graham cracker ice cream with like little dark chocolate covered honeycomb bits. And it's
My
like,
God.
yeah, it's like that with the pumpkin Oreo. And I'm just like, this is heaven to me.
Okay, so next time I'm visiting you around this time of year because I want
Hmm.
those flavors. Graham cracker and Oreo is an underrated but highly needed topping
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
accoutrement to the ice cream experience.
100% agree with you. It like my husband is not that flavor profile of ice cream. Like he's like a chocolate, like maybe a strawberry, maybe a raspberry type flavor ice cream person goer. And he tried my flavors and he was like, this is way better.
You're doing it right. You're actually doing
Yeah.
it better than me.
Yeah. So like I would
Okay,
really recommend.
if you ever come to my neck of the woods, we have a
Yeah.
place here that does a best of both worlds. They do a wild berry crumble
That
and a
sounds
banana
amazing.
cream pie that have, like, the graham cracker crust bits with the fruitiness, and then I put hot fudge on it because 'cause I'm a heathen, and I
No.
get everything I
No,
want
amazing.
out of an ice cream experience.
Wild berry crumble. That's like
Yes.
so up my alley. Yes.
Mhm.
I'm so with you.
Okay, so
Okay,
we'll
so
just visit each other to eat ice
we're
cream.
gonna do Mick and Ari ice cream tour where we're just gonna, pop around different ice cream shops. We're gonna be like what's it? The guy that tries pizza, but just with ice
Yeah,
cream.
yes. We'll rate
Yeah,
all the ice cream. So we'll finally,
yeah,
like, record in person, and it'll just be us talking about ice
ice
cream. No
cream.
writing, just ice cream. Hope you guys are
Yeah.
ready.
I'm rewatching New Girl for like literally the 50th time. That's like a fall show to me too. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I feel like there's always those I don't know what it is. Maybe it's 'cause it's, like, the slowing down season. Sorry, I keep touching my hat because I can see
Do
a
you have a
hair.
rogue hair?
Oh my god, I can
The
see it
worst.
and feel it. Okay, now it's gone. There we go. Um, back on track. I feel like there is always a show, I don't know, like, in the fall or winter that I, like, start to rewatch. Like, I watch a comfort show because it is like, yeah, we're, like, slowing down, we're easing into the cozy season. Because 'Cause I'm watching
Yeah.
Vampire Diaries right now, again.
I just finished my rewatch of Gilmore Girls. So,
I did that last year.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, crap. Like, I need a new show." So I just switched to New
Yes.
Girl.
Yeah, and my husband had never seen Gilmore Girls, and so I watched season 1, and then he, like, started watching with me, and then we watched all of it, and I was like, "This is everything." So now he
Yes.
loves it too.
It's just so cozy and wholesome. Also, it's like every time the theme song would play, like my husband would come in and just start singing it, and then he would just like leave.
I love it. Here, and then go away.
I know. It's so catchy.
But, hey, there are so many shows where I'm like, skip you can't skip the theme song. You just
No, I
can't.
will never. Carol King?
Yeah,
Ugh,
are you
a
kidding? A
classic.
classic. Same with, like, Stranger Things because I just rewatched
Yes.
all of those seasons to prepare for My Crazy Family Halloween, and, oh my god, these
No,
singers
it's
are
gonna be
fab.
so good.
And here, figure yourself out. And what was I saying? The theme song
Mm,
is so just iconic.
it
My
is.
husband would constantly be like, "Okay, skip intro," and I'd be like, "That was a crime that you just committed.
Mm,
You can't
I know.
the intro is integral to the
I
TV show
know.
experience. You can't skip it."
I completely agree. Like Game of Thrones theme song, I will skip every time.
It's
It's so
long.
long.
That one's long.
It's so long. But like New Girl or Gilmore Girls, like you bet it's part of the experience. Or
It
Stranger
sets
Things, you
the
bet it's part
tone.
of the experience. Yes.
It sets the tone.
100%.
Intro is a TV show's prologue, and I will die on that hill. I said what I said.
You know what? I stand by it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I agree with you. Okay, so we did what we're watching.
Yeah.
What are you reading? Tell
I
us.
came prepared with my book this time.
Yes.
So I did finish Immortal Consequences
Ooh.
and really good. Really, really loved it. And so now I'm moving on to what's funny, we were talking about horror and how I don't like movies, but I
Mm.
am reading my best friend's Exorcism, which
So
sounds
fun.
like a horror,
No, I'm
by
obsessed with the cover.
Grady Hendrix. Yes. See, speaking of Stranger Things, look all full circle. It's 80s, so it looks like a VHS tape. Um, it is really good. I think I read a lot of Grady Hendrix and I really love his writing and it's the type of horror that I like. It's more the
Mm.
emotional, psychological horror. It is starting off really well. I've only jumped in a little bit to it, but it's already like it started with grabbing you with the emotions before it eased me into like a possession story.
Love
So,
it.
but I'm very excited to read this during the week of Halloween. What are you
Yeah.
reading
I
this
don't
week?
think I've ever read anything
Ooh,
by Grady Hendrix. Maybe I'll put that on my list.
this is great. I also would recommend the Southerner's Guide to what is that? Oh, no. Southerner's Guide. Southern Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires.
That sounds like a fun book.
That's what like, he does like fun stuff. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if this was first published, but he got known for like there's one book called Horror Store and it like HORROSTOR and it's like an IKEA, like a haunted IKEA.
That's fun.
Mhm. Mhm. And then I just also finished Wayward, oh my God, his titles are so hard. Witchcraft for Wayward Girls.
I've heard of that one. Mick, I know you're ready to discuss this book, but
So excited.
when I tell you I am obsessed with this book, I'm reading Bunny by Mona Awad. Like, I am obsessed with this book. I am, I think, halfway through. She's a genius. Like, she's truly a genius. First, her prose is just magnificent, but it's like every single sentence, every paragraph, you get a visual, you get a vibe. Like it's just so visceral. And then also just the story and the character is fascinating. Like I'm like, this being in this character's head is fascinating.
Mhm.
It's a masterclass.
I'm so glad you're reading Bunny. It's my life's mission to get everyone to read Bunny by Mono. The girlies who get it, and the girlies who don't, and that's fine. It's a very, I feel like, controversial book. Like, if you look at the Goodreads reviews, it
Yeah.
is literally like 5 star, 1 star. Like, it is
That's so
so
interesting.
polarizing. Like, so many people DNF it. They think it's crazy. And then the
Mm.
5 star people like me and you are like, this.
A work of art. Incredible. But also just like she manages to just like take you on a journey and you're like, I'm not questioning. Like I know this is crazy, but I'm not questioning this because like the way she does it, it just like works. And I'm like,
Yes.
how does this work? Like it's incredible. And I
No,
don't want to spoil anything. So you all just have
I
to read it
know.
and you'll understand what I mean.
No, that's a really good point because it is how do I say this without spoiling? There are some fantastical elements
Mm-hmm.
ish, and she does such a good job of making you suspend your disbelief, and that is like the hardest thing to do in
Yeah.
any fantasy, whether it's high fantasy or low fantasy, like to not make me at least. I mean, like you're questioning what's going on, but not in a way that it takes you out of the story, if that makes sense.
And I'm actually a reader that has a really hard time with suspending disbelief. Like I get pulled out of a story real fast if like I have doubts or questions or anything. And like the fact that I'm not with this story, it's just like a testament to her skill, I think. I am also going on Wednesday to hear her speak.
I
And I'm so excited.
I'm so happy for you. I'm sad for me.
No, no. I'm gonna send you so many photos, and then I
Please.
wanna finish this. Okay, so this might be a little crazy, but she's speaking on Wednesday in Connecticut, and then she's speaking the week after in Massachusetts, and they're both only like an hour away, and they're both free events. And I'm like, do I just like go to both? Because I think I can finish Bunny by Wednesday for sure. But like, I don't think I can read We Love You, Bunny, which is the sequel, until the
Mhm.
next week. So maybe I'm like, okay, talk one is Bunny, talk two is the sequel. And I think I
Yeah.
might just go to both.
I think that's fair because with, like, author events, like, everything is different. It's not like a prepared it's not like going to a concert where there's, like, a set list. It's like
Yeah.
it's dependent on who's moderating the conversation, if there is one,
Mm-hmm.
or who's asking the questions. So, I mean, I love her that much. This is a Mona Awad fan podcast, actually. Hi,
Yeah.
welcome to the Mona Awad fan podcast. I would if she was only an hour away both times, I would go both.
I think I'm gonna. And they're free. Like I'm literally like I don't have to pay. So I'm just like,
Might as
let's
well.
go. Why not?
And like you said last week, like, you have been inspired by like, last week you went to so many book events, so I think it's so fun that you're continuing, like, finding all the book events near you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, another plug, find some book events
And some book
near
events.
you. They're so
You
fun. And they're
inspired
free so many
me.
times.
They're
Yeah.
they are. I'm seeing Liz Moore speak next week,
Ooh.
next Monday.
God the God of the Woods. Is that what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's on my bookshelf. I haven't read it yet. I'm so excited for you.
I don't wanna take us too far off the topic. Out of the Woods is also it is probably my favorite book that I've read this year, hands down, and
Amazing.
I read chapters of it when I want to make sure I'm nailing the tone and the writing voice because what she does in God of the Woods is incredible.
Exciting.
So
Okay. I'm
plug
going
for
to move
that
that
book as
up
well.
on my
Yeah,
TBR. I love that we're both reading horror books.
I know.
Would not have expected that of us, but appropriate for this season.
Would not expect that of our Pisces little brains, but we are diving
Hmm.
into spooky season.
We really are. We really are. Okay, so tell us, what have you been working on this week?
Oof, oofda.
Oof.
Haven't written as much as I wanted to this past week. I've been focusing on some other life things, mostly, honestly, getting ready for Halloween, which sounds ridiculous. But
I
as you
mean, after hearing
hear,
all the things you're prepping, I'm like, how is
it's an
that
endeavor.
not like a 12
My
hour a
full-time job.
day
I
thing?
know.
Yeah.
Been using a lot of power tools, been painting, so I've been focusing on that. I did write, like, 2 or 3 scenes, so I'll take that as a win with a busy week, and I have just what's actually funny is I realized, I think I need to change POV and tense
Like for the
and
whole book, or are we talking about for specific
yes.
things? Okay.
So oh my god, I don't know why I do this to myself.
Girl,
So
relatable.
I've been writing this draft in first person, present tense,
Mm,
and I think I still needed to do that because I needed to get truly in the mind of Helen, my main character. But now that I'm in the late like, the second half of the book, the latter half, I'm realizing so many so many important plot points are happening when she's not in the room. So many plot
mm,
threads that I want to be impactful just aren't as impactful if she's, like, witnessing someone's behavior and guessing what it could be, if that makes sense. And so I think I need to add in 2 more of my characters. I have my main male character, Antone, and then Figgy. And I think I need to add them because they're 2 characters that have secrets that you uncover, but I think we need their perspective because I think it's more impactful when you understand what they are both hiding if we're
mhm.
seeing their reactions, not just only Helen's, if that makes sense. So
I think it does. Like, is it from like the scene perspective? Like, there are certain scenes where,
Yeah.
like, her as the POV character, it's like her stakes and her like motivations just like aren't as high as, let's say, Figgy or Anton.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
at different points of the story, and so, even though it's still Helen's story, in writing this book, Figgy and Antone's story has it's their stories woven their way into the major plot so much that I feel like I need their perspective or it doesn't fully make sense impact-wise, so I wrote a couple scenes from their perspective this week to make sure to test out the hypothesis, and I think I was correct.
Yeah. And you feel like shifting everything to third from first will like make different POV shifts just like a little bit more seamless. Are you switching tense at all or just adding POVs and shifting to third?
Yeah, I think I might be doing third person past
Okay.
tense.
Okay.
Just because for some reason I switch tenses.
I do that too.
It's the most frustrating thing. It makes me feel like I'm stupid. I'm like, I know what a tense is. I know what present and past tense is. But for some reason when I write, I will switch like mid-sentence even. And I'll read back.
Yes.
I'm like, what? I think it's because when maybe I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I
Yeah.
hypothesize it's because when you're talking to someone in person, I feel like I switch tense when I'm telling a story,
Mhm.
like out loud. And so I think that's what I do when I'm writing. I don't know. That's the only theory I can think of.
I think you're right. I also think it's a little bit like I think sometimes it depends like what stage of the draft you're at also. Like if you're just kind of like
Mm,
in a free form, like just trying to get everything out, like that's when I'm most likely to just be kind of tense switching versus like if I'm trying to finesse a little bit more. And I think some of that is just like you're trying to get it to come out naturally, just like no blocks, just like get it out. And yeah, I do the same thing too. And then I'm like, should I be a writer? Do I know what tense is?
really?
Yeah.
I do feel like even when I try to write in present tense, past tense just comes way more naturally.
Yeah, I'm the same
So
way.
and I still think I needed the present tense moments because I think I
Yeah,
understand Helen a lot more. But I also think if I only stay in her POV and in present tense, no one will like her. She's not
that's so fair.
she's not the she's not the best and she doesn't make the best decisions and she's a little whiny and she's a little codependent, especially in the beginning. And I fear that people won't like her. But
But
also,
this is my theory. Okay, also just to the switching tenses, I also think it matters what tense the book you're reading is in because if I'm reading a book that's in a different tense, then I will like start writing in that tense just by like nature of osmosis.
yeah,
But I honestly think like it doesn't matter if your character is likable so long as she's interesting. Like I
yeah,
actually think we put likability like way too high. Like I read so many books like
she's not likable.
she's not likable. The main character in Bunny is not likable. I think I talked to you about My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. Not a likable character. I could spend thousands of pages in that character's head.
Yeah,
Like I really, but like I think it's hard to write a character that's not likable because you're constantly worried like God, like I'm putting all this work, all this effort into some character that like maybe people aren't going to like. But I actually think what's more important is just like they're interesting and you can understand where they're coming from more than anything. And like all of those traits that you just described, like I think that makes for an interesting character.
definitely interesting. I have self-inserted a lot of the worst parts of me in Helen,
Valid. So valid.
and she's been an exploration character of all the bad decisions I made in my college years. And I think I also worry then because I'm like, "Oh my God, I I didn't even like me back then." Um, so I worry that people won't attach themselves to Helen, but we'll see. So yeah, this week I wrote some like one early scene and two later scenes in third person and two different POVs that I can plug in because this switching will be a revision problem for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, I think it's always hard. Like, if you know you're like actively self inserting like certain characteristics, it's just like it makes it that much harder to be like, I want this character to be likable. But I have read the first three chapters, and honestly, like, I understand Helen and like I empathize with her. And I feel
That
like
makes me
that's,
feel better.
yeah, like if you understand the character's POV and the decisions that she makes, like I feel like that's just the foundation for like an interesting, likable character.
Well, that's good to know. And sometimes, like, again, like, you're just too close. Like, I'm so close.
Yes.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know how she's coming across to other people. Like, I've now been writing her for thousands of words. To
Mm,
me, she's a little annoying sometimes.
do I get that? Do I get that?
Okay, let's move on. What have you been working on this week?
What have I been working on? Okay, so I basically wrote all of Act One of Pretend the Earth Doesn't Call, and I'm just like finishing up some small edits. So I think I said last episode, basically, like how I'm doing it right now is I'm rough drafting a scene and then I'm going back and I'm editing it. So I just have like some small edits to make to finish that. And then basically, I had a little crash out about whether I should switch uh, into from because I'm writing in first past, and I was thinking if I should switch to third past. I don't think I'm going to shift to present, but it's just like, is this a first person story or a third person story? And I think I'm actually going to stay in first person. I think my issue is okay. My issue is like I don't know at the moment if I should just go ahead and start drafting and working on act 2 right now or if I should like backtrack and keep working on act 1 because I fear that my characterization is
Mhm.
struggling at the moment. And so I'm kind of a little bit like, okay, like, do I kind of go back and just try to cement characterization, like make my main character whose name is Perry, like make her a really strongly characterized character, like really cement her personality, her stakes, her motivations, her backstory, all of that, so that I can go into act 2 with that as a foundation. Or, and that might take me like quite a bit of time, honestly. Or do I just like push ahead, go into act 2, draft as I've been drafting based off of my outline, and then like worry about characterization for draft 3?
Hmm.
So I'm kind of at a crossroads at the moment of like what I should be working on this week.
I think that's a fair dilemma. I guess what makes you feel like Perry's characterization is not up to par?
Yeah. Okay. So I think there's a couple of really tricky things. The first is like where she's starting out as a character is she's been trained and kind of like indoctrinated into this system. And so she doesn't feel super distinct and she doesn't feel like particularly unique. But I think in order to like do first person successfully, like you kind of need a distinct and like characteristic voice to make it work. And I don't think that she has that right now, if that makes sense. But I think because she's like where I need her to start out in order to make the story feel like to resolve in this particular way is like I need her to start at a point where like she is distinct but she's like part of this system that like kind of brainwashes you and it's just like how do you draw this line? I don't know.
Well, okay. So she's a part of a system that has brainwashed her. Like
Yeah.
you're saying, like she's less of herself at the beginning because she's been groomed to think certain things.
Yeah.
Can you just make sure that those viewpoints are shown? Like
Yeah.
make sure that the system's beliefs are being echoed in her own internal dialogue.
Yeah. And I think I am, but I think it's
Okay.
kind of like I think when I think about her as a character, I'm still a little bit like, what would she do that like most people wouldn't do? And I
Mhm.
feel like that is not standing out to me very strongly. And I don't know if it needs to, But I feel like I was
Yeah.
given the advice of like make your character do something that like 99% of people would not do to like make them distinct. And I'm just like,
That's interesting advice.
I don't know.
99% of people?
Or like most people. Maybe 99% is like
Yeah, that's like
over
a
the top.
lot.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I don't know if your character has to do something super distinct. I think it just has to be like kind of what you're getting at, like instinctually them.
Yeah.
So I think we just have to understand her motivations.
Yeah.
And so I feel like as long as you're showing that like because I'm trying not to spoil your book. I'm trying not to give specific
I'm trying too. I feel like
your book. Um,
even saying
brainwash?
like yeah, is like, oh no, but it's okay because I feel like you get that from like the very first
Yeah.
scene, like, you know.
But see, but I feel like as long as we're getting that, maybe like does it make sense for her to already have like some sort of crack? Maybe not with everything, but with
Yeah.
one thing. Like one instance that happens that
Yeah.
she really struggles with and has to kind of do mental gymnastics to get back to what the system's trying to have her believe. And then maybe that shows
Mm,
the crack of her personality. Like one thing that she's like, I really don't like this, but
that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I think also what I might just do is like try to go back and just like insert a little bit more backstory because I'm
mm,
wondering like actually what might just be more helpful is to like insert some more backstory so we can like understand where she's coming from and
yeah,
then just like not spend that much time inserting that stuff and just like go into act 2 because I'm also sure like her characterization and stuff it's going to like improve the more that I write her and I'm sure like I'm very much like a bird's eye view person where it's like I need to zoom out and look at the book as a whole so I can really
yeah,
see her as a character. So I think this has been really helpful because I'm not going to go back. I'm just gonna chug on.
yeah. I think do what I do. Do a look at this later paper.
I know.
Make a look
New
at this
tab,
later
Scrivener
file.
doc.
Look at this later and just I don't know, it helps me like just like I don't know, just like dump everything you're feeling about the characterization issues. So you
Mhm.
know to like look for it in the beginning. But like what's funny is you could move on to act two. And then you could reread act one and not see the same issues that you're seeing.
I know. And it's also so funny because I sent the first couple chapters to people and like one person is like, "Oh my god, I love your main character's voice so much." And I'm like, "Okay, if you like the voice then that means that the character is
Yeah.
distinct." But then another person is like, "She doesn't feel very distinct to me." And I'm just like, "Then what is
Mm.
reality?" You know what I mean?
I think that's the hardest part about getting early feedback.
Yeah.
See, I love early feedback, and it's probably because I did creative writing as a major, and so I'm like I lived in a writing circle where I was constantly getting torn to shreds. I was like, "Okay,
Love
make
it.
me better." And I love getting torn to shreds, but it can be hard. Maybe you
Yeah.
don't get any more early feedback on act 1.
Yeah, I think I'm done. I think actually what I did get is like really helpful. And I think even coming at it from a lens of like how do we make her more distinct will only help the draft. But I think at this point it doesn't make sense to go backwards. And I also like am pretty proud of act 1 as it stands. I think it's like the most book shaped, like cohesive act 1 I've ever written. So like I'm pleased, but it's also just like how do you character?
I think that's fair, and I think that, like you said, it gave you a perspective of how to view act 1.
Yeah.
You can file that away and then move on to act 2 and see if that still resonates. Because again, you might just be really close to act 1, and since
Mhm.
you're getting early feedback, it's, like, feeding into that narrative where it might be better to finish and then have a better sense of her as a whole throughout the whole story
Mm.
to
Yeah.
see what she needs in the beginning.
Love that. It's great advice. Thank you,
You got
Mick.
this.
Okay. My question to you now is what do you feel like you've learned this week from reading and or writing?
Yes, I think
Any
it's
little tidbits for us?
yeah, it's actually similar to what you were talking about with characterization. I was
Really?
Yeah, this is, like, all kind of flowing in, like, perspective and point of view. It seems like we're kind of in line with what we've been thinking about this week. I was worried that if I took it out of first person, that I wouldn't get as close to my character, because sometimes when I do write in third, I find it harder, I don't know why, to, like, be able to really get into the mind of what they're thinking. I think, 'cause, like, reading this book this week,
Yeah.
it's third person. Let me just look up this, like, little part of the chapter, but in the very beginning, we are, like, pulled into this girl, Abby, and we're given a chapter where this is horrible, and I was like, I felt for her. She threw her 10-year-old birthday party and no one came except for this girl, Gretchen, who's gonna be her best friend, and it's kind of like their origin story, but he
Yeah.
did a really good job of, I don't know, showing me, I guess, that, like, you can still go deep inside a
Yeah.
character's psyche. In third person, I think I just needed to be reminded that I can still do it. I think it's 'cause I don't know when to, 'cause, like, in third, sometimes people will italicize a thought.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And
I
so
know
I don't
exactly what
know
you mean.
when to, should I italicize this thought or should I just say the thought in the third person? And I was
Yeah.
italicizing a lot of my thoughts, but in this, I'm trying to find the specific moment that this happens in this book. I should have tabbed this beforehand. Okay, literally, this scene is where, oh my God, this poor girl, Abby, throws this birthday party. Then some horrible, we can swear, right? This horrible bitch decides to throw a birthday party on the same day and invites people
Okay.
like weeks later. Which is
Oh,
mean.
Abby.
It's sad. And so Gretchen, her new best friend, comes and Abby is asking her, like, why didn't you just go to the other girl's party? And Gretchen said, you invited me first. And then I'm gonna just read this paragraph of what Grady wrote. A lightning bolt split Abby's skull in two. Exactly. This was what she had been saying. Her invitation had been first. Everyone should be here with her because she had invited them first, and Margaret Middleton copied her. This girl had the right idea. And I highlighted that because it's really
Mm.
dramatic. Like, you guys can't really see. There's like bolded
There's
words.
a lot of bold, yeah, like
It's
all
like
caps.
everyone should be here with her because they invited first and she copied her. And I was like, one, what a great way to be in the mind of a 10-year-old because like
Yeah.
everything is so dramatic when we're younger.
Mhm.
And two, it didn't have to be italicized. It didn't have to be like flowery description of the emotions running through her body. And then I think this. It's like, no, this is what the character's thinking. So the
Yeah.
narrator, the third person voice is still going to say it. I think I just needed reminded that this week that like
Yeah.
switching from writing in from first into third, you can still go deep into the character's psyche and pull back. It's
100%.
kind of like a slingshotting motion you have to do in third of being able to go deep and then pull back.
Mhm. And I think that that's almost like one of the strengths of third. And it's like, yeah, like you can still always do like a close third where like you can zoom in, zoom back out if that's what works for the story. I think when you are in first, like you are kind of limited to being in like so deeply in that character's head. And I think also even like I've seen thoughts italicized even in first person, I think.
True.
Like I
True.
think there's so many different exceptions to the rule as well. And it's like if third is what you think serves the story better, like, yeah, absolutely. Maybe it does help to like be able to zoom in for certain situations, zoom out in others that you might not be able to in first as easily.
Mhm. Yeah. So what have you learned from reading or writing this week?
Honestly, kind of similar. I think for me, there were two big things. One was I like went deep into a characterization hole where I was like, how, again, like, how do you character? Because sometimes I think I can think myself into circles and I'm just like, I don't follow my gut and I don't follow my intuition. Where it's like, I think I am kind of a more intuitive writer, but then I also just like really love craft and I love to like understand the mechanics of it. And so then I like go into articles or like craft books or whatever to try to understand it a little bit better. And I went into this whole like indirect characterization bubble. And I was like, Okay, I don't know enough about this, I feel like, that, like, I feel like I need to, like, read up a little bit, and so it was just, like, kind of reading up on a couple of different things of, like, there's different ways to use indirect characterization to, like, feed your readers clues about this character without ever actually, like, coming out and saying something. Indirect characterization definition is process of describing a character through that character's thoughts, actions, speech, and dialogue. And so, like, one exercise that I thought was, like, really interesting is, like, think about your characters as, like, a list of priorities. And so, like a blank slate character will be like, my number one priority will be like family. My number two priority will be friends. And then, like, think about like the most out there ridiculous character is like you have this like NFL super fan character. And it's like, so you have a blank slate character where like one would be family, two would be friends, but now you have the NFL super fan thrown in there. So it's like NFL super fan is number one, then number two is family, then number three is friends. And then the whole craft of like coming up with a plot is like them trying to figure out in this tier of like things that are important that to them, like how do they select between them. So like, for example, like this character will be wearing like an NFL jersey like during his work meetings because he cares more about the NFL than he does his job. But if he had to select between like staying late for work to like miss his son's birthday party, like he would go to his son's birthday party because he cares more about family than he does work. And so it was just this like interesting way to think about characters that like I'd never really thought of before, of like, okay, like tier their priorities, like tier the things that are like most important to them. And then like, how do you craft things to like make them choose so that you can understand what that character's priorities are? That's kind of what I've learned this week.
That is a really interesting way to think about character. When you were talking, I was like instantly trying to think about my characters and
It's
their
hard.
priorities, especially because I don't know, you and I are writing stories with fantastical elements and a lot of
Yeah.
like world building. And so I feel like that is an interesting, I don't know, exercise with like fantastical world building elements of what do they prioritize in this world that we've both created.
I know. It was food for thought. Granted, I do not know how to put that in application yet. But like sometimes I love
Yeah.
just like having that different perspective of like, oh, I have not thought about character like in this way before. That's really interesting. That's something to chew on.
Yeah. No, I think that is something to chew on. I'm gonna try it. I feel like just I don't even think it necessarily has to be put in application sometimes. I feel like just doing those exercises where like you know a little bit more personally about your character, it'll come out naturally in the writing process versus having to like work it into the prose.
Percent. It like, yeah, 100%. It's just like you have that knowledge. And I think that's also why sometimes like I'll write a couple like scenes or short stories about like a character's backstory. And it just like actually the act of doing that is like so informative. It's insane. But yeah, I haven't done that for all of my characters because I'm just like, I feel like I should write the book. This week, if you remember, we have like two segments that we're going to kind of close out the podcast with. So we'll either have like a gas me up segment or we're going to have an article that we thought was interesting that we want to discuss. So this article this week is from The Independent UK. It's called Publishing Boss Claims AI Can Help Authors Beat Writer's Block by Anna Wise. Essentially, to kind of give a blurb of it, it's like, how would you blurb this, Mick?
I blurb this. Bloomsbury thinks that using AI is a helpful tool to get creatives started. And he quotes saying, like writing the first chapter, writing the first paragraph, and takes the scariness out of like starting a creative project and can be a tool, be a guide to help you get unstuck, but he still doesn't want it to write full books.
And there was also like a strange emphasis on like readers only want books by like well-known authors.
I Yes, you're right. That should also be in the blurb. For some reason, he said it's
Like
ingrained. Hold on. I gotta get this quote because my eyes went like, what? when
Yeah,
I saw this quote.
mine too.
He said, "We are programmed deep in our DNA," which is questionable, "to be comforted by the authority and the reliability of big brand names. And that applies more than ever to the names of big writers."
Yeah. So there were
Yeah.
just like a couple points in here that I was like, wait, what? Okay, so maybe let's start with the AI point and then we're going to get into the like big name author point. So for the AI point, I thought it was interesting that that this publisher was essentially like, it'll help authors write books because you can get over writer's block faster. And I think inherently that is just very dangerous. I mean, granted, Gen AI is a tool,
Yes.
and there are so many resources, YouTube videos, podcasts out there that can take so many different stances, just like across the board. But I think personally, my stance is like you need to be unbelievably careful when it comes to using AI and the arts and like very human centric experiences. And so I think, yes, absolutely, you can use it as a tool, but I think it's also you are individualizing art in a way that takes the artist away from the community that makes art so impactful. And so if you, like me and Mick started this podcast because we were like, let's form community, let's chat, like let's discuss. And then if artists inherently just like turn to AI to be that sounding offboard, to be that friend, and also to be a sounding offboard that is like extremely complimentary and
Yeah.
not necessarily critical, I think you risk running into a silo of your own thoughts that doesn't help you grow in any capacity, is like worse for the environment because of all these data cooling centers. And you are individualizing and siloing yourself to become more insular than ever before, where like art should be used as connection.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
No, I 100% agree because I feel like we can talk about, of course, how also AI pulls from other work. So
Yeah.
it is, I think, unethical, in my opinion, to use it even for brainstorming because it's pulling from other people's ideas. Now, yes, we all pull from other people's works, but the difference between us doing that and AI doing that is AI is doing it at face value, whereas we are pulling inspiration from other people's work and adding our own lived experience
Mm-hmm.
to it. So I think that is inherently dangerous in itself, but I love the point that you're making because just it makes you more alone. And I feel like it completely, what is the right word here? It just makes the process, I don't know, I feel like you're robbing yourself of the writing process if you're
Yeah.
going to start using AI to get kickstarted. Even if it's like, here's my idea fully, write my first chapter for me so I can get some inspiration. That in of itself, because that's what he used as an example, which I thought was wild to me, because that in of
Mm-hmm.
itself is robbing yourself of the writing experience of struggling through a first chapter. It's a rite of
Mm-hmm.
passage for writers. It is the worst part is getting started, but
Yeah.
I don't know, that is the process that we go through is writing shitty first chapters and then
Yeah.
rewriting them. And then also allowing yourself to be bored. Be bored, think about your story, and inspiration comes from like what just happened. Ari was saying something, we were in conversation together. That made me think of something in my story. I had to write it down. Like you have to go out and live life, talk to
Mm-hmm.
other people, commune with the world to be inspired for your book, not just you at a screen.
Yeah. And I think also like Lee Bardugo's TED Talk, which if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It
You
is
recommend?
incredible. But she talks so much about like the subconscious and how like you need to let your subconscious like work for you. And I actually think the time that you take actually grappling with the story, getting
Mhm.
frustrated with the story, having a crappy writing day and then going for a walk or like going to hang out with people. Like that whole time you grappling with a story, your subconscious is at work. And when you outsource that work to an AI, like your brain is just not forming the same connections, in my opinion, and like doing the subconscious work because you don't necessarily feel the pressure to make those connections like
Mhm.
for your story. And I also think it's a really slippery slope, right? Like this publisher is like, "Oh, it's fine to use AI for brainstorming, but like not for whole books." And it's like, where are the boundaries? Because it's like
Right.
brainstorming, you can write a scene, you can write a chapter. What about an act? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he did make a point later in the article, which I was, happier with, where they are going to compensate any authors that do decide to like opt in to train AI models with. They're like going to like compensate them
Okay.
with
Yeah.
royalties, which, all artists should be paid for their work. So
Yeah.
like at least there's that, like bare minimum. But yeah, slippery slope, I would say. Like let your
Yeah.
brain work.
You're not able to flex the muscles. And like writing is a muscle, creativity, art is a muscle. I always yell jokingly at my friends who are like, I'm not creative. I'm like, you are. You just aren't letting yourself be creative. And so much of being creative is failing.
Yeah. My God.
So
Yeah.
much of being creative is being quote unquote, whatever you think bad is, it's is doing something over and over again until you feel like it's right. And so I think that also can be wrong is like if you're using AI and it's telling you what is right and good, because like I've heard of people, even using AI to like edit a scene or a chapter, again, slippery slope. But then you're using another metric to tell you what's good when I feel like with books, even though we get feedback from people, even though we talk about story structure, you will know when your book is good for you or not, and not any person editor or an AI editor or anything of the sort. So, no, it's a very slippery slope. I thought it was very interesting that he was like, oh, scene, chapter, but not a book. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And then
Crazy take, Bloomsbury. Crazy take.
as a STEM girl, how they train these neural networks for AI is they essentially take all of this data and they amalgamate it. And so part of what makes like some of your favorite books is because they have a very distinct voice and they take perspectives that are not the normal perspectives. But inherently, when you're condensing data to train these models, you're losing uniqueness. And that I think is also a really important reason to not use AI for this stuff because it's going to give you like the mean median perspective on all of these stories. You're losing that inherent uniqueness that comes from like your own human brain because that is just the way that they handle data, and you can always be like, oh, AI, write it in this tone of voice, blah, blah, blah. But, I don't think that it can do specificity and voice in the
Mhm.
same way that a human brain can just because of the way that they're modeled. And so that's also like a real danger that you run into.
Even not with AI. I feel like we could even do an episode on this if you'd be interested.
Love it.
I
Yeah.
feel like it can even be dangerous to stick too strongly to story structure for this exact same reason. And
Yes.
I'm a plotter, but I'm realizing more and more it should be a pantser. I did study story structure in school, and I love writing craft. And like love it. But story structure was created as a post-mortem for books, not
Yes.
as like the end all be all. And so I feel like maybe that's why people lean on AI. Like maybe when it came up, people were excited because I do feel like this is now going in crazy places, but I feel like they're
I love
related
it.
because like a lot of newer writers, especially because we were both on YouTube, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
pressure to talk about writing craft and absolutes on YouTube. because
Yes.
it's what gets clicks and it's how you're phrasing it, and you're like, the top 5 steps to structure a novel, even though that's not how writing works. But a lot of newer writers who are scared to get started, like this guy said, that people are scared to get started because a lot of newer writers are looking for a formula. They want a quick fix. They want like a just tell me how to do it and I'll do it. So maybe that is why people are gravitating towards AI in the arts, because they want like a surefire way to write a book, and that's just not how writing a book works. And I feel like the
Mm-mm.
same dangers of using AI to be more middle of the road or not have a unique viewpoint can be the same if you're every single one of us is using Save the Cat.
Mm,
All of our books are going to start sounding the same. And I already
exactly.
feel like that's happening a little bit, where like I can guess what's going to happen because I'm like, this person is, because we study story structure, I'm like, this person is so clearly using Save the Cat. I know what's going to happen before it even happens. And so I'm even trying to break myself of that. But I wonder if that's why like newer writers might gravitate towards AI, because it feels like a formula or
Yeah.
a fix to
Yeah.
get that jump start.
I think that's such a good point, and I think it's also just, like, in the era of, like, instant gratification, like, it's really hard to write a book, and it's, like, really hard to grapple with, like, the intricacies, and I think in the beginning of, like, when I had started writing as a hobby, like, I really gravitated to craft books like that, and then I realized, especially for Save the Cat, and I think we should do an episode on this, but, like, you lose some of the, like, tactile, like, cause and effect that, like, is what makes a story so good, because you're just trying to like stencil in a story to beats, right? And I think it's exactly what you said. Like it's postmortem. Like writing a good story will have these big beats after the fact, but like trying to do it first, I think you lose a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's just my perspective. That's how
I
I found it
agree.
works for me. Yeah.
Well, because even in the Save the Cat, we can do a whole, yeah, a whole episode. Like they give you a percentage of like when this beat should happen.
Hmm.
And I feel like when I come up across like creative blocks, if this is what is this guy's name? Who are you, man?
Let's go digging.
What was his name again? Mr. Newton, who
Yeah,
signed
Mr.
Shakespeare
Newton.
Rolling, Nigel Newton, the publisher's founder. So you're important. And chief executive, Mr. Newton. But Miss
Neither of us will probably wind up getting signed by Bloomsbury
Neither of us.
this
Oh my god, maybe I should
episode.
cut that out. I'm sorry, actually, Bloomsbury, we love you. It's okay. No one Bloomsbury isn't gonna listen to episode 2.
Yeah. We can bury this.
We'll bury
It's
it.
fine.
We'll bury it. It's fine. But what Mr. Newton, the amazing Mr. Newton, said in this article was that
Mhm.
people are using it for creative blocks. But I find when I get blocked the most is because I'm trying to fit my story to like hit a beat, and like I can't figure out how to get my character to that beat because it should be happening right now, instead of me, like you said, just intuitively flowing with cause and effect, which is what a
Yeah,
story is.
100%. And there's so many different types of blocks and, like,
Mhm.
so many so many ways to get around it or to, like, understand why the block is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so tricky. So I think a lot of what this article said about AI is, like, quite controversial for a variety of reasons. And we can
For a
touch
big
upon
publisher, I feel like
for a
it's
big
an
publisher, yeah.
interesting take that this is now coming out from a very big and prominent publisher, and I'm interested to see, I don't know, we'll see where AI goes. I'm scared.
We will, and I think it's scary because there's no safeguards. Like there's no railings at the moment
Right.
because it's so new. Um yeah, but the last point that he made was that
Yes.
readers want to see basically books from like big names, right? And I think that that's valid, but he named J.K. Rowling, he named Sarah J. Maas, which are like, you don't go into publishing to expect to be the next Sarah J. Maas. Like they're like the top 1.01% of authors out there. And of course, like you want an author who has like a great back catalog. you want those instant buy authors as a publisher who is trying to make money, who's trying to profit off of these books. But I think that that is also doing like a huge disservice to like all of these brand new
Yeah.
authors out there. But also, it's like, when was the last book J.K. Rowling published? Like,
Yeah.
and you're just not going to have these big names. And like, it's a constantly ever changing market, and you're going to have names come up that like weren't big authors before. And you're going to have big authors like maybe stop publishing as much from what they had been. Right. So I found that point really interesting, especially considering like how rapidly changing publishing can be. Like, you're going to always have names kind of come and go. And it also really depends on like what time span you're talking about too.
Right. I feel like it was a little off-putting
Yeah.
as we're two writers who are wanting to be traditionally published at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little, maybe that's why both of us were like, wasn't expecting that because
Yeah.
like for a big publisher to talk about how the landscape is moving towards wanting big name authors just the way we want big name box brands is a little scary when it's like, oh my gosh, we haven't published yet and we want to break in. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it does a disservice to all the amazing debuts that happen constantly.
Yeah.
And I will say he did have a point that I agreed with, Mr. Newton, that I I understand a little by what he's saying when he put it back in terms of AI, where like
Yeah.
with so much as AI slop, as the kids these days say, um, it's happening in all areas of our life. We are going to crave people that we know are reliable, that we
Mm,
know will put out a good story. So I understand it from that perspective, but I think to
mm,
compare it to wanting like super big names, like you said, like the top 0.001% of authors does a disservice. And I think a way to bridge that gap, unfortunately, might be social media. But
mm,
I think it's at least showing that you're not using AI, that you are
mm.
writing, like talking about the struggles. I don't know. I don't want to have to live in a world where we all have to brand ourselves personally, but it
I
just
know.
like that's where it's going. So like I understand what he says from that perspective that people want reliable authors that they know write books that they like and are well written and aren't the AI slop that might start coming out. But
But I also
I don't
think
know.
like hopefully readers will be able to tell. Like, I think to
Mhm.
try to wrap it in an optimistic point is like, I think I could definitely like tell what at this point in time, at the current state of AI, like I can tell what's like a humanly written book versus
Yes.
like an AI book. And I think what that means as to people who are trying to be traditionally published, who are like grappling with their own stories, is just like, just try to write the best story that you can. And like, by virtue of like being a human person, like
Mhm.
it will be good because you are delving into the humanity of your story, right? And you're going to bring out like unique and different perspectives that you will not be able to get like from an AI written story. And like, just, yeah, just try to write the best story that you can.
Yeah, that's all. That's all we can do out here. That's all we ever do.
Yeah,
We're trying.
that is, we are trying.
Did anything inspire you this week, Ari?
So I went to Chris MF's on YouTube, or KM Fajardo, which is her published author name. I went to like a reading slash like opening like interview for Local Heavens.
So cool.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was in this tiny little bookstore in Chinatown in New York City. And it was awesome. But she said something that like really resonated with me, because I think this week has been kind of like a hard writing week because I've been grappling with like what to do. And it feels like I just don't have a clear path of like what I should focus on, even though talking it through today did help a lot. But she said something in response to somebody's question, which was like, what is something like some advice that you would give to a new author? And she essentially said that writing is an act of courage and it is really, really hard to sit down at your desk every day, to stare at a blank page, to constantly worry if these characters are good enough, if this plot is good enough, if all of this is interesting enough, if the hours that you're spending like agonizing over the story, like, is it going to be worth it in the end? And it's really hard to sit there just like completely not knowing what the future has in store for you. And therefore, like writing and spending all of this time on these creative endeavors, like it is really an act of courage. And so she was just like, just be brave and keep writing. And that this week really stuck with me because writing this week has been a little bit challenging. So I hope that that's helpful to whoever's listening. And also thank you to Chris for saying that because it really resonated.
We love Chris. We love
We
Chris.
do.
I love that advice. A reminder that we're all going through that. It's not just you who's
Mm-hmm.
feeling like it's,
Yeah.
that you have to make these courageous acts.
How about you? What has inspired you this week?
I didn't think about this prior.
So valid. So valid.
In in the vein, yeah, we're riffing off the cuff here, Ari and I,
Mm-hmm.
constantly week after week so far. I guess in the vein of last week, I talked about how I have a mini hobby, y'all. And
Mm-hmm.
I started going to a pottery studio this week. I usually take pottery classes once a week, and I didn't get into my winter pottery class. And I was like, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
But I found a studio that allows you to pay like monthly, and you can go like 24/7. Like I have keys, and I feel so cool.
Wait, that's sick.
I know. And
Amazing.
I'm obsessed. I went 4 days this week out of the 7. And
Love it.
what's fun and kind of scary is like now going into the studio, I'm independently working. It's not like a teacher showing me what to do. It's like, okay, I've taken enough classes where I know kind of what I'm doing, but I'm still very much a novice. And I told the owner that, and she was like, no problem. But I have to, like, I'm buying my own clay, and I'm very much having to use it in a conservative-esque way. And so one of the days I wedged up 1 pound balls, and I was just gonna throw mugs because that's what I've been working on, just like the cylinder shape, throwing mugs, and I ruined 2 of them, like ruined 2 of them, so bad. So had to scrap that clay, and then
Yeah.
I ruined the 4th because like my wall was too thin in the middle, and so it became a little bowl. So I only got
Mm.
1 mug and a little bowl out of like 4 pounds of clay. But what I did, and again, what's so cool and what I think is so important and why I probably have so many hobbies outside of writing, like creative outlets outside
You
of
are
writing,
such a
is
hobby girl. It is
I'm
such
such
an
a hobby girl.
inspiration.
I'm
I
such a
love
hobby
it.
girl. Hopefully everyone become a hobby girl. Um, I turned all the scrap clay that I kind of ruined into something that's called slip. So it's just clay and water, and it's the glue that you use to hold your pottery pieces together. So like when I have to put handles on, you need slip. I just That's why I just love doing like artistic things outside of writing, because it does, just like rock climbing showed me last week, just like pottery is showing me this week, is like, again, like not every artistic thing is perfect. I'm not going to be 100% amazing at everything I do, but especially in pottery, like the failure in pottery can become something else. Not only can you create slip, but you can reclaim your clay. So you just keep it in like a wet bucket and a dry bucket, and then you make it into new clay. And I feel like that's exactly what we do with writing. Like even when I have a bad writing session, I never delete anything I write. I just move it into my outtakes folder in Scrivener, and I always will end up reusing it in some sort of way. And even if you don't reuse exact sentences, you're I don't know, you're using those hours of practice, because like even though I ruined 3 mugs, I learned what my problem was. I'm not pulling up consistently the whole time. I'm like going like thick in some spots, thin in some spots, thick. So then like it breaks and it like collapses. So it's just teaching me a lesson for this week when I go into the studio. And that's how I need to be approaching writing, because I give myself so much grace in
Mm-hmm.
pottery
Yeah.
and I do not in writing for some reason. And so I just need to like remind myself to do that.
I also love just like how poetic the clay analogy is, because it's like you can reclaim the clay, reclaim the writing. Or slip is like it's the glue that holds it all together.
Yeah,
Like all of those projects that didn't work, all of those scenes, all those works, it's the glue that will hold your next project together.
it is.
That's
It's
beautiful,
beautiful.
Mick. I love that.
Thank you. We're just getting inspired by our failures out here because I got to get more comfortable with. I'm not currently comfortable with failure, if anyone can't tell. So I try to put myself now in situations where
Mm-hmm.
I can, what is like exposure therapy to failure? That's pretty much
Yeah.
what I've been doing this year.
But it's so good. It's so good. And I think it's also just like such a lesson in like not being hard on yourself and
Hmm.
like accepting that it's like a stepping stone at every stage, right? Like
Yeah.
you're gonna get some place where like all of those failures compound to success, right?
I just was thinking when you were talking, I was like, this is exactly what I needed. I feel
Me too.
like so much more myself on like camera,
Mm.
like talking to you about writing. It's just so nice.
Too. No, it is really nice. And I feel like it's just one, it's really nice to just like check in and like discuss your
Yeah.
project. And then two, it's also like I really am enjoying the conversations we're having. I like thinking about like what inspires you. And
Yeah.
like I like thinking about these articles. I think this
Too.
format is really working.
I know.
And it's
I'm
like
really
making me
enjoying it.
excited to keep filming. And
Right.
like for the next episode, I'm like pumped.
I know. And it makes Mondays, because we film on Mondays, so much better.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It makes them way better.
I know. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thanks for listening to Craft and Crashouts, a weekly podcast by Ari and Mick. If you liked this episode, be sure to follow along wherever you are listening to stay up to date for the next one. If you want to submit your crash out for the show, DM us at Craft and Crashouts on Instagram or email us at craftandcrashouts@gmail.com. Feel free to send us a voice note in either format. We'll talk to you next week with more craft talk and definitely more crash outs.